Rain poured so hard it blurred the edges of the world. Ethan Cole tightened the collar of his faded blue coveralls and squinted through the downpour. The narrow country road outside Millbrook was nearly empty, just trees, wet asphalt, and the steady drum of rain on metal. Then he saw them. Two young women stood beside a black sedan with its hood raised like a white flag of surrender. They were identical, same blonde ponytails, same pale long-sleeved tops clinging to them in the storm, same anxious expressions. One held her phone up toward the sky, searching for signal. The other stared into the engine as if willing it back to life. Ethan hesitated. His tow truck was in the shop, his wallet was thin, and his shift at the small-town garage had already ended an hour ago. But stranded was stranded. He pulled over. "You okay?" he called over the rain. The twins turned in unison, startled. Up close, they couldn't have been older than 20. College age, maybe. "Our car just died," one of them said. "It started making this horrible noise and then nothing." "And there's no service out here," the other added, trying to mask her panic. Ethan nodded, already rolling up his sleeves. "Let's take a look." He didn't ask about money, didn't ask where they were headed, didn't judge the expensive car or the polished accents that suggested they weren't from around Millbrook. He just got to work. Rain soaked through his hair as he leaned into the engine. The twins hovered nearby, shivering. He could tell they were trying to be brave. "Radiator hose split," Ethan said after a moment. "She overheated. You're lucky you pulled over when you did." "Can it be fixed?" one asked. "For now," he said. "I've got tape and sealant in my truck. It'll get you into town. You'll need a proper replacement, though." He worked carefully, hands steady despite the cold. The twins exchanged quiet glances, their earlier fear softening into relief. "Why are you helping us?" one finally asked. Ethan shrugged. "Because someone once helped me when I didn't deserve it." The words slipped out before he could stop them. They didn't press. 15 minutes later, the engine sputtered back to life. The twins gasped. "You're a lifesaver," one said. Ethan wiped his hands on a rag. "Just get to Harper's garage in town. Tell them Ethan sent you. They'll treat you fair." The blonde on the left reached into her purse. "How much do we owe you?" "Nothing." They blinked. "At least take something," the other insisted. He shook his head. "Just drive safe." They thanked him again and again before easing back onto the road. Ethan watched until their taillights disappeared into the gray curtain of rain. Then he got back into his dented pickup and drove home to his small rented apartment, unaware that his simple act of kindness was already circling back toward him. The next afternoon, a patrol car pulled up outside Harper's garage. Ethan stiffened. Old instincts. Old memories. He hadn't always been the dependable mechanic of Millbrook. Years ago, he'd been reckless, angry at the world after his father died, running with the wrong crowd, making decisions that nearly ruined his life. One night, he'd been pulled over for street racing. It should have ended with charges that would have followed him forever. Instead, it ended with Officer Maria Bennett. She had looked at the 19-year-old version of Ethan, defiant, scared, lost, and seen something he didn't see in himself. Potential. Instead of booking him, she gave him a choice: community service at her brother's auto shop or jail. He chose the shop. That shop became his turning point. He discovered he was good with engines, good with problem solving, good at fixing things, machines, and slowly himself. Officer Bennett never mentioned the favor again. But Ethan never forgot. Now, as the patrol car door opened, his pulse quickened. A woman stepped out. Not just any woman. Maria Bennett. Older, yes. A few silver strands at her temples, the same steady posture, the same calm authority. And standing beside her, the twins from yesterday. Ethan's breath caught. They smiled when they saw him. Maria's eyes locked onto his. "Ethan Cole," she said, her voice warm with recognition. "I was hoping it was you." He swallowed. "Officer Bennett." She stepped closer, rain clouds replaced by clear afternoon sun. "My daughters told me what happened yesterday." "Daughters?" The word landed with quiet force. "They said a mechanic stopped in the storm, refused payment, and got them safely back on the road." The twins beamed. Ethan rubbed the back of his neck, just doing what anyone would do. Maria's gaze softened. Not everyone would. There was a silence filled with years of unspoken gratitude. "I never properly thanked you," Ethan said quietly. "For that night, you could have ruined me. Instead, you gave me a second chance." Maria smiled. "You gave that chance, meaning that part was all you." The twins exchanged glances, clearly piecing together a story they'd never heard in full. "You're the reason he became a mechanic," one asked their mother. Maria nodded. "Looks like it." Ethan laughed softly. "Guess we're even now." Maria shook her head. "Kindness doesn't keep score." She reached into her car and pulled out a small envelope. Ethan's chest tightened. "I don't want money." "It's not money," she said. Inside was a business card and something else. A flyer for a state-funded community program looking for certified mechanics to mentor at-risk teens. Maria met his eyes. "We're expanding the youth diversion program. Kids like you were. They need someone who understands engines and second chances." Ethan stared at the paper. For years he'd quietly carried the memory of who he used to be. The shame, the gratitude, the promise to do better. Now here it was, an opportunity to turn that promise outward. "You think I could help?" he asked. Maria smiled. "I know you can." The twins stepped forward. "You already did," one said. Ethan felt something shift inside him, like an engine catching after a long stall. Purpose. Not just fixing cars. Fixing trajectories. He looked at Maria. "When do we start?" Months later, Ethan stood in a brightly lit workshop filled with teenagers who reminded him painfully of his younger self. Arms crossed, skeptical, carrying more weight than they let on. He handed a wrench to a kid named Marcus. "Engines are honest," Ethan said. "They don't care where you came from. They only respond to what you do next." Across the room, Maria leaned against the doorframe, watching.